I'm recording. Cool. Good morning, everyone. What are we talking about today? Experience versus education. So before we just hop in, right? What's everybody doing? Right? It's amazing. Um, Corona update. Right? Corona update. We are extending. I think the lockdown looks like until May. So I may not be back to work until like officially physically inside of a building till mid May. So no Cinco de Mayo, right? That's crazy. That's really crazy. No Cinco de Mayo this year. I wonder if people are gonna do like some events for Cinco de Mayo like virtually. Not sure how that's gonna play out. But that's amazing. Last night I was kind of thinking, uh, this is a good time to realize how blessed you are as an individual. Just because one, you're alive. There's plenty of people who are dying. None of my family members have been dramatic. At least that I know of, have not been sick. So that's amazing. Plenty of people have died. Family members have died. Old parents, right, of individuals. Kids getting sick. Women that are pregnant getting sick. Um, Saw that, and I know all those people. I have a grandma, I have a mother, I have a father. I have friends that have are currently pregnant. I have family members that are currently pregnant. So, and I have family members that have a bunch of kids. No one's sick, and that's and those things or whatever aspect that you, an individual who is watching this, should also take a look at real quick and look at what's around you and just be grateful for the very small things. And even small things are technically our big thing. For me, I take most pride in being able to pay my bills, food, water, um, light, electricity, just like all of that. I'm extremely blessed. I am always super happy to be able to fill up my gas tank and just like things like that. Those are the everything else is a plus. It's an add on, right? So I just want to take that and more take more be grateful, be able to communicate just for me to be on this podcast. Right, I need a computer, need a webcam, I need a light, right? Or else it'll be super dark in here, even with the morning sunshine passing through all these clouds. Um, you need internet, and it's just like a whole things. If you look at a big picture, come into play for me to be able to communicate with you guys on the web. So I think I don't take that for granted at all. I don't think anyone should. So I know a lot of people are trying to on YouTube trying to distract and all that. For me, I feel like I'm watching a YouTube video and it's not talking about the coronavirus or mentioning how they're dealing with it or like what are their updates on it. I think it's weird. I feel like they're disconnected. For me, yeah, me as a person, I'm worried about the coronavirus. I'm dealing with stuff, and I want to distract myself, and I watch something. I still want them to be aware of what's going on, not be oblivious and be like, "All right, let me just not talk about it, pretend it's not there," because it's like, what's there? I don't know. You guys are all on a you guys aren't next to each other. It's not. It's like an elephant in the room, right? So yeah, for us, we're still dealing with it. Going out for a run every couple of days, trying to stay active so that we're outside the house and just to get a breather. Right now, I spend a lot of time in this room. I just started a new business and I started onboarding a new client this morning. Yeah, last night and this morning. Well, yesterday morning and then this morning, all the way to this morning. So that's real cool. Trying to stay active, trying to stay busy. So I'm doing a lot of reading right now. I'm in chapter 6 of my CCNP. I can't pick up the book anymore just because it's mounted now on a stand, reading stand, so I can easily take notes, right? I just wrapped up a blog post that I'll be pushing up tonight. This, and I'm work on it right after this. And that's going to be fun. It's about understanding VLANs, native VLANs in particular, understanding native VLANs. For me, that term was always difficult for me to kind of grasp between the word default VLAN, native VLAN. Um, it's the same thing, but not really, right? So I'll cover that on the blog, and there's also an instructional video. And then cut me a break on an instructional video. It's the first time I'm actually giving instruction on video and doing the action. I've never done that before. So I've always in person shown someone, and then I'm able to see their reaction and see if they get it. If they don't get it, adjust it. So I do like a lot of adjusting, and it's just like, but then again, my first YouTube video I ever done, just speaking on the camera was going to be really awkward, weird. So got over that hump. So I'm gonna keep pushing these out. They're gonna get better and better. I promise. So promise not to be too cringy on these first ones coming up. So got that going. Just try to stay busy, try to stay active, making sure that my mind doesn't get I don't get stuck in this room, right? Because then that could be like whole cabin feverish type of thing. In New York, governor mentioned that. That's why everyone's in the same house. Normally they get like a break from each other, and then now they're not, and it's just like um, so we usually have an outlet and go, oh, you know what? Let's like me and my girlfriend. I like going, hey, let's go get a beer. Let's go out. I don't know. I want to spend money. Like I want to go and spend $30 on a like you know what I mean. Like let's go. Um, I don't know. Go eat some ramen, right? Even if it's like $15 and it's just like $5 ramen and like a beer, and let's just go out and enjoy something, externally. Um, I like that, right? Sometimes those are the times it's just okay, let's go outside and just kind of like let's not take care of our because I have pets, so let's take care of our pets. It's just like it's all home, everyone's taking care of already. Let's just go home and take care of ourselves. Let's go out and take care of ourselves, and it's just like go chill. And right now we don't have that, so we have to find a way to uh, yeah we have to find a an outlet, right? So see, I'm trying to mess with the light here. So yeah, for me, right now I'm running, trying to stay active, uh, and then play little video games. But sometimes video games are not boring. So going through all that, right? I am reading too. Can't wait to. I wonder how far I can go before I start going back to work. It'd be funny if I go to chapter 20. Right, this thing is yeah, it's like 29 chapters long. It'd be crazy if we go to chapter 20 and actually thoroughly understand each chapter, right? Because there's one thing about reading and a thing about fully comprehending what's actually happening. So let's hop on to let's hop on to yeah. If I see someone hop on, there's no viewers on. Let's hop to the subject, right? So experience versus education. Now, I've been watching, and this is how I get content sometimes. I watch YouTube videos, and I'm like, yeah, I should talk about that and give my opinion on it. Um, I've seen some videos discussing the certifications and people getting their certification and not being quote unquote qualified for the job. What does that mean, right? It's like, well, I took certification, so technically I'm allowed to, not allowed. I am now qualified to do this type of work. But then There's the other side of the aisle saying, well, you're certified just because you passed the test doesn't mean you know what you're doing. Say, but I thought that was the purpose of the test, right? I passed the test, so therefore I know what I'm doing. Yes and no. So I think the argument there that we're trying to understand each other on is process versus know-how. So you may know how to log into a switch and go into this interface and configure it to a certain VLAN and test that it's functional using some of the tools inside the switch and ensure that its functionality, everything's communicating properly. You are qualified to do that. However, you may not know the process it takes for you to start getting to the point of you logging into the switch. So you got to the point of somebody plugging in the cable, because even arguments about that. Well, you pass CCNA, you don't even know how to log in. You use a console cable to plug into it. Technically, the book does explain to you how to log into a switch early in the beginning. So, granted, you may take that information, kind of store it, and not pull it until you're in the field and you're like, oh man, I didn't bring a console cable. Oh man, how do I make? Oh, I don't have a console port on my computer. How do I make it work? Right? Those things, it's process and experience, right? In my opinion, it's called, the better word for it is a process. What is a process you take to log into a switch from taking the ticket all the way to completing the ticket? That whole ticket process, the steps that it takes for you to get to the point of you plugging in your console to the back of the switch, hit enter, type in the username and password. So that whole process to get to there is what's missing. The process of you configuring the switch is there already because you passed the certification. And then the process after it's done, that's a whole other realm. That's a whole other, okay, what do you do now? It's done. Now what? You always just go home. You have to follow the client, make sure that you don't need anything else. It's like a whole thing. Put your notes in a ticket, communicate with your superior if there's anything that needed to be done that was beyond the scope of what was expected of you, and because of that, you were able to get it done, but you want to inform people who whatever, kind of like stuff like that. So that's all experience, knowing what to do, uh, being trained on that job description. Aside from the technical stuff, I feel in IT we get caught up on the technical stuff. How do packets flow? What layer does it operate in? What this device um, I guess like tasks, right, within a bigger scope. Use this device or this device. What protocol this one use versus this one? Yeah, routing configuration we use, preferably static routing, dynamic routing, link state, what? We get into these whole realms of technicalities where we forget about how we approach a problem, right? And what in reality, that's what a lot of these YouTube posts, right? These videos are discussing. Well, you don't have experience. You don't have experience. What you're saying is this individual doesn't know the process on grabbing a task that's a problem, that they know the problem is a shutdown port. Now, they may not know the process it takes for what it takes for that individual to get permission, get access, troubleshoot, to identify, to make sure that is actually the issue, confirm it without any doubt that that's the issue. Once we do that, it'll solve all the problems. Like, those are experiences, and that's a process that you have to learn. And the only way you'll learn that is by actually working in that position, in that job position. So there is no test, none, that will be able to test you properly. Well, I mean, I don't know, because I'm thinking now, like, I always thought about me doing a test like that, but there is like best practices on um, IT management and stuff like that. But for you as a technician engineer, there is no certification to this day that will teach you how to deal with the little steps before you go into the very technical stuff that takes you a while to learn, and then wrapping it up. Right now, there's no certification for that. There's no book for that, in my opinion. Like, actually, I'm sorry, not my opinion. As far as I know, there's no book for that. And the reason why I kind of know that for a fact, I will say that's a fact, is because a lot of these YouTube videos should be linking that read this book or do this. Don't just complain about it. Everyone's just complaining, not doing anything. So, my opinion, I'm thinking what's happening is that there is no actual certification that will teach you that process. Like, what's a console cable? Like, how do you make it work with a USB cable on your port on your computer? How do you make that work? How do you determine? Uh, how do you find an MDF versus an IDF? What does those terms actually mean? All of those things matter, and it'll show your experience through an interview. So if you have an interview and they're discussing something, you can reference some of those stories. Yeah, it was like my first time figuring out MDF and IDF. I don't know difference, whatever. And I was like, I went to this MDF. That's where our servers were at. IDF had one of the servers, but that's our main server. It's backup server. Da, 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 da. And it kind of shows, oh, okay, this person knows the process, knows the day-to-day small terms and tasks you need to do to troubleshoot to get you to the point to know which. You may know that the port shut down. How do you find out what port it is? Right? You could do the command line like CDP and just do all that kind of stuff. But physically, how do you find out? When you go on site, can somebody at a CCNA level, can this manager say, can I tell you, hey, go to this client, you said that port shut down. Okay, go and enable it. I want you physically there because XYZ. Whatever excuse I may give you, XYZ, I need you to physically be there because of this. And I'm going to call you because once you're done with that, you can just do some other stuff. Okay, great. So come when you're done. All right. Do you know how to get from there to there and figure yourself in a way to get into the room where that switch is? Log into that switch, confirm that switch, that is the switch you're looking for. Enable the port, test it, and then give me a call back. That technician or engineer would either waste a bunch of time not calling me or call me right away multiple times, right? Because he's an entry-level guy, or he probably worked at a PC repair shop or Best Buy and got a CCNA, and now I think he applied for a job and he has all the technical requirements, this, that. Yeah, okay, great. But he doesn't know the field technician, field engineer process that a general day-to-day should operate. Now, there's people who even have prior experiences that go into these jobs and still don't have that proper base knowledge because they were taught either terribly or never taught at all. Right? This goes back to the whole thing was like, well, you don't have experience. Okay. You as a teacher or an educator are saying that, or an advisor, consultant, what have you, are saying that this individual does not have experience, so they will not be effective at their job. However, a lot of these companies like Cox and Comcast and I'm trying to name another, like actually small companies, even small, super tiny companies, medium-sized companies, they don't care. Look, go and figure it out. I need this solved today. However you do it. Tell them my name, tell them this and that. You work for this place, you should be good. Don't worry about it. They go and fuck up. It may not fuck up to a catastrophe level, but fuck up. Fix it. Okay, I'm not doing that again. They learn themselves. No one's teaching them. So they don't need to become certified. It's preferred they come in that they're certified. But a lot of these managers don't care. These companies just don't care as much as an educator does. That's what I know for sure. Educators care more about a lot of these company owners. Company owners don't care as much, just as long as it gets done. Somebody can fuck up a bunch of times, a whole lot. They can fuck up a whole lot. However, as long as the task is done, the company owner doesn't care anymore. He's like, okay, great, at least it got done. Now he fucks up multiple times, then it comes into like determining the level of patience that person has and the gravity of the situation. And then say person gets let go, or um, they get stringed along until they find a replacement. And some of these companies takes years for someone to let somebody go. Um, so, so I'm sure my client's good. So yeah, it's educators and advisors and all this. They care. Look, you need to make sure you prepared. You prepared. You know this. You know that. Then you qualify. Companies, you seen it. You have the stuff that takes a while to learn. Yeah, come here. And then you follow these policies. These little policies that it takes for you to be effective at your job. Okay, great. You go on site. You communicate with the person. Whatever. You email the group that you're there. Once you get on site to the whatever. Request change management to your lead. Lead will respond, talking you through the steps. Da, 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 da. Did you confirm? Did you confirm that? Yeah. Okay. We'll go ahead and make the change. Boom. All right. Change is made. Help desk lead. Can you have them check confirm my settings? Did the job? Yes, it did. You're good to go, sir. Okay. All right. Copy the config. To copy the running configuration to the NVRAM, and you'd be good to go. Great, boom, copy, good, get out. That's change management. That's a process and a way to control someone's making a change on the network without being a catastrophe. Now, my experience, manager will say, "Go on site, do this," or "Go on site and fix it." All right, in order for me to fix it, I gotta do this. Go ahead. Or I call them, they don't answer, I do it anyways because they don't answer and I haven't answered for an hour. They come up, oh, sorry, it was this, I was that. All right, well, I did this. Oh, okay. Oh, damn. Okay. All right, was it working? Yeah, it's working. Okay, great. All right, bye. Oh, yeah, I did this, it fucked up. Oh, man, okay, now what? All right, I don't know. Like, we got to fix it. So, it's like kind of just ship the shit, and it's not. I don't do that with only one company, and it's not because I preferred it. I get upset when I get into situations like that, but sometimes you just have to, right? You want to be as prepared as you can, and part of that is learning the difficult stuff, getting certified in the very difficult stuff, which is the basics of networking and advanced of networking, intermediate, well, basics, intermediate, and advanced. Those are the things that you have to actually sit down. Okay, page by page. This is what a subnet mask is. This is what an IP is. This is what a MAC address is. This is what a switch. This is what a hub does. Is different from a switch. This is what switches are important. So that is what a router does in its basic form. Does this? This is what a firewall does. Right. This is what ports are. Like all that stuff needs to be ingrained in your head to be at a certain level, right? And then the idea is that it'll be ingrained in your head when you get certified. Once you get certified, you already have that in your mind. This is how it operates. This is how things communicate from one end to another. Now, telling someone this is what a console cable is, and then having the experience to identify it somewhere in the switch, or if you can't find it on the switch, how do you log into that switch? How do you do? Oh, it's not Cisco switch, but I'm Cisco certified. I don't know the switch. Now what? Right? And it's like, oh well, I'm a troubleshoot now. Okay, great. So how are you going to figure out how to do this? Well, I know that, and you pull information from your historical data, and you figure out well, this Netgear. How do you Google? How do you log into this Netgear and the model number? And it says web interface. So you plug in your Ethernet cable in there, type in the IP, or maybe you run a scan, and that's a process and that's experience for you to troubleshoot something when you can't identify. And that's one of the questions I have when I interview people. When you cannot find a device on the network, what do you do? We do that. Well, I disconnect it. What if you can't disconnect it from the network? You bring everything down. Now what? Right? Those are. I'm trying to get you to see if you can think outside the box. So that's what you need, right? You certify. Okay, great. Now, when something that doesn't tell you on the book and you're trying to figure it out, what do you do? Right? So that's what I look for. Now, it's not up to, in my opinion, the educators. I guess it is. because the educator is supposed to prepare you as much as they can, and part of the preparation would be to get you well versed on processes and troubleshooting, gathering tools, maybe like a cookbook of entry level software and hardware tools, right? Something like that. And it's not even a certification, it's something for you to reference. You're trying to get into IT, but you're not trying to invest into yourself, right? So read a book about um, what tools will help you be most effective at work. I'll tell you something right now. I worked at a company where it's like, I don't know, 20 techs, one crimper, one shitty tester, like $15 tester, um, a box like this of Ethernet cables. It's just like, I can't believe it. Sometimes the tools that I have in my trunk uh, are at a higher grade than the company offers, just because it's how much they care, right? They didn't care, so or they didn't put any value into the technicians to help them effectively do the job. Or maybe they knew, like, well, the thing is too is if you lose trust as a leader, if you lose trust with one or two of your guys and you lose trust with all of them, then all of them think that aren't doing anything, but the ones that will use it and do use it to help them be more effective get kind of shit on because this other guy threw it away or accidentally broke it or did something. So that's kind of like a whole other running department. It's a whole other realm. But um, a lot of companies, they just want you to learn. They want you to just be educated. Look, it takes me longer. Like, I haven't sat down with my techs and told them what a hard drive does, what a CPU does, what a RAM stick does, what what a packet is, right, or what an IP is. I expect them to have that coming in, so that way I could just teach them a process that I'm trying to put into place, so that we could just follow it and use the knowledge that they had already to help them along the way. Right? So that's my approach, and I think a lot of the companies are looking that way. That's why, so it doesn't really technically matter if you've ever got a cable and you plugged it behind a switch before, because that's an easy 5 minute conversation. Like, if a CCNA guy comes up to me and he's an engineer, so look, I say, um, I plugged into a console through a packet tracer, but I've never plugged it into an actual box. I'm like, don't even worry about it. Look, when a Cisco gets a Cisco switch, usually any networking device gets delivered on a management level. When it's a managed device, they come in with a basic cable setup, and usually it's this, and I'll show them a picture of it. It's like a 5 minute conversation of explaining what the process is and what to expect, and also what I would suggest to not expect. Don't expect the cable to be here. Oh, if you have the cables and you're done with them and we have spares here, keep one in your bag for yourself, because this is a good thing to have on a just in case basis or on a regular basis. Like, you go on site, you forget the cable, the box didn't come with the cable, they order it, you're expecting it to be there, it's not there, and you already have your setup to work with your computer, right? So, and if you don't have a console port, you use a USB adapter, and then some of them ones you have issues because, and then I give my historical experience on it. I bought this one, doesn't work, this one doesn't work. Make sure you keep CD because the drivers suck. It's like a whole thing, right? And that's just me layering it on. But it's literally a 5 minute conversation. Console cable looks like this. If it's not this, it's a RJ11. Like, these are the things that don't take long. But when you're trying to explain a subnet mask to somebody, like, I've tried before, and their head just explodes. Like, it's just like I'm losing them. It's like, fuck. Okay, now look, and you have to write down photos, and you have to write down. It's like an educational class of explaining how these things work. But somebody with the CCNA level understands it like that. Why? Because that takes longer. So that's what the certifications are valued for the company. So, in my opinion, experience does matters, but education matters first. Allows you to get the experience. You can be 40 years old, get educated, have a bunch of experience, and then everything just falls into place. You can have education and then experience, and then as you learn little small stuff, like that, you're worried about a cable, but once you got the cable, like, oh thank God, like, and you thought that was the hard part, and you're like, all right, here we go. A person with experience will get the know what to get the cable, but then get to the part where he needs to be educated on. He's like freaking the fuck out, and he has to learn something that's way beyond the scope of 5 minutes. Right? He has 5 minutes to do this, and he's like, "Fuck! Like I gotta learn all this shit," and he does it, and it kind of works. Well, it works, but it's not the best practice, and then 6 months later, it fucks up. And then he goes back and he's going through all these experiences. But the educational side was like, well, yeah, like I learned that it tells you not to do this. Like a Windows Server cookbook, couldn't believe it. It just tells you how to properly restart a computer or shut it down. Why? Well, a server. Why? Because people accidentally shut off a Windows Server VM because a hypervisor interface, it looks like it's an actual server. So it takes over your whole desktop. So at least the 2012s did. So it didn't look like you're logged into a VM. It looked like you're actually logged into the hypervisor. So when you restarted it, you actually restart the whole hypervisor. So that's pretty funny. But the cookbook explained that. So somebody with experience would say, "Oh, we have to do it like this because trust me, man, I fucking did it." Like yeah, like I read a cookbook and it highlighted that. Oh, thing is that people forget is that people with experience write the books. Not all of them. There's people who are read books and don't get experience, and then they write other books, and then it's just a bunch of convoluted shit. But that's why like there's like a lot of schools that are training trade like nurses and dentists, dentistry, and all this shit. All those people, they're supposed to have historical experience. Like DeVry, I got taught by Cisco engineers, people who were network engineers or architects, um, very people work at AT&T, just all that with a lot of experience in the field itself, so they can teach you. At one time, one of the professors taught me about fiber cables, and before he like did any troubleshooting on any other layers, right? I'm talking about the OSI layers, but he was like, check the physical layer. He popped it off, and he blew air on all the jacks. I don't know if he was saying fiber or no. He was talking about Ethernet. Because it was an Ethernet class. In any case, so he had popped them off, put the air in there, plugged them back in, and it worked. He was like, "Yeah, always check the physical layer first." So it's like, and I remember him like, "Why is he fucking making this a big deal?" Like, whatever, it's just dust. But then now I'm like, yeah, dude, like it saves you hours. Like if you had that experience, and this person's telling me this in class, I never experienced that before. I still remember that because I think like 2-3 months ago there was dust on the jacks, and my text was like, yeah, but I plugged it in, it works, man. No, get her air duster, spray them all, because later on I'm gonna forget there's dust in there, and I'll be thinking it's perfect port, but then he's like plugging into like, you know what I mean? So he doesn't know. He's like he has less experience than me. So it's like a whole thing, right? So in my opinion, get educated first while you're getting the experience. That's the best way to do it. Because once you get certified and you have the experience, everything just starts like one, job offers, and second, just everything just starts clicking into place. I think you need both of the elements. You can start either one. If you start volunteering and then as an intern and you get hired and you're not certified yet, it doesn't mean you should stop getting educated. Like it doesn't make sense. Like I've been told before, oh well, you were going to school to get this job, right? Then why are you still going to school? Like what? Like no, I got this job. I got educated to a certain level. I want to keep getting educated, but the job I'm at right now is still experience. Like I'm still experiencing stuff. So I'm not. This is not my endpoint. Like I'm not trying to finish here. And it's not an insult to the company. It's just more of a um, yeah. I've always wanted to work in IT, but doesn't mean that I don't want to finish accomplishing my education goals and see where I end up after that. Now, say if I only want to get CCNP certified, I get my CCNP, and I get this job as a network engineer. Great. And then I'm learning. I don't know what console cable is, right? For example, I'm like plugging this stuff. It isn't my story, but is something that I'm guessing these people from on YouTube are posting about this experience and education and certifications and all that are saying. I get CCNP certified, get my first job. I don't know what's putting. I was struggling through all of this stuff, and I figured out what an IP scanner is, and so I'm like doing all these things, and learning, and then um, and I'm like, nah, I'm done learning. Like I don't want to get educated anymore. I'm just get experience. So then you go experience 10 years, and then you're still at the same job, or you go a little bit higher, and that's it. And then you kind of like, but if you would probably got the CCIE with all that experience, you don't think you would have been like maybe a CIO or something, at some point, or drop this. You get the CCNP and you start learning about security or cloud, and you start doing all this stuff, and then you become a CIO, and you're not becoming like a senior network engineer. You're like even higher than that. Senior architect, like there's all kinds of different stuff. I don't know why somebody would just stop being educated, just in general, just keeping fresh, up to date on what's happening. That's why I always look up to educators, people like Network Chuck, Jeremy Chara, all these individuals continue to learn. Tony, the CCIE guy, he took the CCIE 3 times. It's like, dude, that was amazing. I'm so happy he got it. A lot of people were rooting for him. I was rooting for him. And watching him fail was like, I thought it was cool. The fact that he was able to, and it sucked watching his kids say that he failed, also announcing it and not knowing whether he passed or not, because he has to like continue reading, not just like pass, fail. It's not like simple as that. um that hurt, but I like watching people fail because of the bounce back. If they don't bounce back, it sucks. But I like watching people go through difficulties and showing it, so that way you know that your failures, and if you continue doing your due diligence, continue working hard, it'll eventually pay off to the point where you get what you're looking for, right? But yeah, like for me, even it just because you're in the field that you're looking for to start off, or you surpass what you thought you'll be, it doesn't mean you should stop learning. You're doing yourself a disservice at that point. I've worked with some guys that are managers that um, completely outdated on their experience. I'm sorry, education, and everything's just kind of like all the new stuff is just over their head entirely. Not just a little bit. I'm talking about a lot, uh, and I don't want to be stuck in that situation, because guess what? Look, to be honest, any company can fire you. Let you go. Look at this coronavirus. It laid off a bunch of people. I had to lay off people, and I'm my life mission now is to get them back as soon as possible, as soon as we open the doors. However, everyone gets laid off. Everyone's laid off. So any point in time that can happen to anyone. Do you want to be in a position where you valued experience and this particular job, but then your new job is asking Azure, AWS certified, or AWS experience, Azure experience, and this job only ever work with Netgear and HP equipment, no other cloud technologies, and everyone else that's hiring is only hiring for all these other things, and then now what? Then you have to go take time off, or take a lower job, get certified, get back into the mix, or you could just get certified while you're learning the next thing, while you're getting this experience, right? It'll take you 6 months to a year to get one certification, at least reading 1 or 2 hours a day. You just have an hour lunch. And it's likely if you're a senior or a higher level in guy, even if you're a junior sometimes, depending on the type of company you're working at, you're not working every second of the day. All right, so like, let's be real. IT, like we get a lot of stress put on us because I feel like there is a lot of stuff that we are responsible for and all that, but we don't. There's no problems between every second of each day. There's tasks we need to get done, but at the same time, like there's some flexibility there in IT and technologies. So you can read, stay educated, stay learning. My opinion, I value education than experience. That's what got me in my career. I cannot go away from that because that's my experience. I that's my process on how I went through things. I got educated, then it gave me the chance to be experienced, which got me into the door and all that. I didn't know anybody, and I couldn't volunteer because I had bills. Like I couldn't intern somewhere because I tried to get a job at Best Buy working only weekdays because I already had a weekend job, and a weekend job was 3 days. So I had 4 days off. I was going to school. Once I kind of like started wrapping up on school, I had those 4 days off, and I was like, I can work those 4 days, and they're like, no. Well, I went to Kohl's saying like, well, it's just me trying to get a second job. It doesn't matter. But like any IT job, pretty much they want you there. They want you there all the time. Like want you to be flexible. It's like so it was hard to get in the door until I took a massive pay cut, right? And then I just had enough just to pay my bills. That's it. And then I started working. I worked my ass off, and I got raises, and then eventually left the job, and just got kind of pushed myself into a position where I can be comfortable, and I always continue learning. I always did both, work and school, work and school. Well, I was at work school when work was just a warehouse, and then I started doing IT. Then it was IT at work, and then IT after work, and go see, wake up, do it again. I did that for like 5 years, right? And I'm still doing it now. I'm taking my CCNP. I go to work before the virus thing. I'll go to work, do my thing, come back here. And I honestly just started doing it again. CCNP takes a lot out of me, but this position I'm in now, it's like a 24/7 job type of thing. But I always recommend that. Always carry the book. For me, that's why I like. And then you look at my old videos. I think the one I had said just study software I use. Yeah. Study software I use. That one is where I discussed why I like books versus software on demand learning. I am playing around with the idea of CBT nuggets. Honestly, I really am. But for right now, I enjoy grabbing the book, carrying it with me, setting it down at work, going to work, picking it up, taking it home, put it down, pick kind of the whole process. So I remember the book is there. It helps me to, even if it's 10 minutes, pick up the book, read it, close it, boom, put it down. Pick up the book, read it, close it, put it down. Sometimes you want to put it down because there's a concept you're really trying to grasp. But it doesn't stop you with the experience. So in my opinion, get the CCNA, get the CCNP, get the CIS, whatever. If I don't care if people say certain things aren't entry level, like so what? That's why San Francisco stopped doing the entry level path. It's not like that anymore. People just sit around, know nothing about anything, and then grab the CCMP, learn it, and then pass it because they're cheating. Like, no, I think people research, do study the whole. Back to I think it was episode 4, learning versus education, certifications. People read, learn stuff, know stuff, aren't certified, and then don't want to go through the CCNA because the CCNA is at a low level. So they want to get to CCNP and they feel like they can just jump onto that. So let them do that, right? So I think it's a disservice saying certain things aren't entry level, putting yourself in a box. Try it. If you think that you can pass it, study hard, take it, see where you're at. Right? The learning track, going to the process of getting certified, taking it, failing it, and getting close. You have the knowledge now. Write it down in your resume that you're studying for it in progress, and put some stuff that you learned in the certification in your resume, and use that to as talking points on your interview. Helps you get the job, even though you're not certified, right? Because you're now educated, not certified, but you may not have the experience, but that whole education block that you got, you educated yourself through the certification path, will help you get to that experience level. You may be a years wise entry level technician, but education wise, you may have the knowledge for a higher level. For me, for example, I have a network administration and network management and communication degree. I have 2 degrees. I wasn't qualified for PC technician work because I knew very little on the technicalities of it until I read the A plus book. But in any case, so that's part of it. So I was educated in school at a high level to learn stuff at a more advanced stuff like Cisco stuff. Like I went through the process of Cisco Academy and the VRI and like all this stuff that they put together. Okay, so I got educated and I got a degree. Now, I learned the A plus material to get qualified for the entry level jobs. I was here on education, but experience and education on the low level stuff I didn't have. I didn't have the experience that needed to get me to the network stuff, which is part of the stuff everyone was talking about. You don't have the experience on plugging in a PC and doing through the process of dealing with these technologies and what to do and all that. You know how Cisco operates and Cisco operates, but you're not qualified. So I wasn't getting those jobs, even though I had the experience, but I wasn't certified. I was educated, but they wanted a certificate. I didn't have it. So I had to go under. So I read the A plus, but got qualified for the low level stuff, and I was like, doesn't matter because going up the chain will be experience that I could put in my back. So I went up the chain real quick. Like I think in 2 months, I was already working on the network. So because it was so fucked up. So they're like, network, okay, great, do it. I'm all right, cool. So I started touching it and so I getting all these experiences and knowledge and just going through the grind. So that's my path, right? I think the easiest way, instead of people aren't gonna let you touch your stuff. Like I'm working with a small business owner, and he's freaking out because of his files. I'm like, I know how important those files are to him. But if somebody who has read a bunch of books touches it, he doesn't know that because he hasn't dealt with small companies before or big companies or anything like that, how important these files are. So experience matters. So does education. Do them both. The easiest way into a job is to get educated and sell yourself or how much you want it. That's the easiest way to do it. And it costs on nothing but $60 in time, which is reading material. And I guarantee you, if you read a study guide and you know it, like the back of your hand, the whole thing, you will pass the test, 100%. And the reason why people don't pass is because there's some sections that are still kind of gray on. So if you read a book till it's falling apart, you will pass the test, in my opinion. So that's kind of like my 2 cents on the experience versus the education. You need them both to be a great employee in the IT field, and just like in any other thing, right? However, on the more complex stuff, you need to get certified because people don't have time to teach you the building blocks. You need to have those building blocks already. So that's why the certifications matter. So maybe there'll be a certification one day on how to be a basic experience book or something like that on certain job titles. That would be real cool. I'll be interested in that. But I really appreciate you guys' time. Wrapping it up here. Look forward to this blog post. Understanding native VLANs coming up soon here on April 6th. Appreciate it. Peace. Bye. The blog will be available at the itblog.info, the IT blog, _info. Peace.